What's going on, goats? Welcome back to BooKoo Bucks. My name is Raymo, and today I'll be breaking down my live trade on GU futures from this morning. In case you want to trade with me for absolutely free, click the link in the bio and join the free Discord. Let's go ahead and break down my trade. And before I do, this was my execution and my exit right here, giving me about a 1 to 4 RR. So to break down the higher time frame analysis, to be quite honest with you, I was trading GU futures, but I was also looking at GU Forex. I bring this up because when looking at GU Forex and going to the daily time frame, I had marked up this daily order block, but more specifically, the daily open of this daily candle. And if you notice, price ended up tapping right here on the daily open. This is technically different on futures because the daily open is not the exact same point. So if you're simply looking at the futures chart, you actually would not be able to see this. But in this case, I was kind of utilizing GU Forex to help me with my GU futures trade, if that makes sense. But seeing that price tapped into the daily order block here, I also went down to the lower time frame, for example, the 1 hour time frame. And looking at 1 hour structure, I had this as my 1 hour low to my 1 hour high, and then price made a lower low here. The reason why I do not classify any of these as valid pullbacks is because one, a one candlestick pullback is never going to be a valid pullback. So that basically takes these two out of it. And this one, you could argue that this was a valid pullback, but I also state that if price is giving compression or sideways movement, compression in my eyes is a form of sideways movement. It is not going to be a valid pullback. So based on the 1 hour time frame, this would have had this would have been my 1 hour structure points. So I was anticipating price to go bullish before potentially going bearish. And usually if I'm anticipating price to go bullish before going bearish, I usually want to see price get up into premium. So if you notice here, if I use swing high, structure high, down to the swing low, structure low, price had not even tapped the 50%. So right off the bat, I was a little skeptical that price would actually fall from here because at the very least, I want to see price tap the 50%. But at the same time, I noticed that price tapped exactly right at the opening of that daily order block. So even though price did not tap into the 50%, I still did take in consideration that price was tapping a POI of some sort. Another thing I noticed is that if I use this swing high down to this swing low, price did tap the 50%. But I was skeptical to use this specific range because in my opinion, this is kind of random. I'm kind of using a random high to a random low. Usually I want to stick to my structure points, but I did take this in consideration. But for the most part, I was mainly looking at the fact that price had tapped into that daily opening as I pointed out. And when I go down or when I went to the lower time frame, I had noticed that during Frankfurt, price took out Asia's highs here. And also I noticed price took out liquidity above here too. So seeing that price took out a good amount of liquidity right here and also above Asia's high, and then starting to see how Frankfurt came in, swept the high, and then price was falling lower, I was interested in looking for potential shorts. Even here on the 5 minute time frame, we had a nice M5 BOS after taking out that buy side liquidity. Even going down to the 1 minute time frame, we can see price was going bearish here. We had a structure low here to a structure high, and then price made a new low here. So I did mark this up as a M1 BOS as well. From here, this is not a valid pullback because it is a one candlestick pullback. So therefore, I was looking at swing high, down a swing low, just like this. If you notice, price pulls back, takes out buy side liquidity, buy side internal liquidity to be more exact, going into premium before pushing on lower. And then right here at about 3 a.m. at the opening of London is when I was looking to take a trade. Continuing to follow M1 structure, this is the new M1 high down to the new M1 low. As long as price maintains this high, this is going to be bearish structure. Anything within the range is going to be internal structure, and I should anticipate price to continue to go bearish. So this is where I got my execution from, seeing that price came up, tapped into the 1 minute extreme order block, just like this. And then I even went down to the 15 seconds to refine my entry a tad bit. If I go down to the 15-second, we can even see here, price gave a 15-second BOS. Yes, even though price barely got underneath, I would still count this as a break of structure. If so, I would anticipate price to pull back up into premium. If you notice here too, price takes out internal buy sell liquidity, taps at the 50%, and then it gives us a bearish engulfing candle right here. So on the 1 minute time frame, this is basically where I took my entry somewhere in this area, decided to take a short, and I put my stop loss above the M1 high because if this is truly going to be bearish structure on the M1 time frame, price should not break above. And then from here, we were basically off to the races. Price ended up pushing on lower. My first area of interest to take profits on was going to be Asia's low, as we know that Asia tends to have liquidity resting underneath and above, as you can see. And then I was looking for price to take out the previous day low down here, because once again, on the 1 hour time frame, if this was simply a pullback to make new lows, I anticipate price to make new lows down here. So as price played out and ended up going in my favor, price ended up going lower, and then price finally hit the full TP down here. But the reason why I did not close just yet, because I was trying to capitalize on this move as much as possible. I, at the end of the day, should have taken my profits here because I would have made more money. But like I said, I was trying to capitalize on this move as much as possible in the case that price did not want to reverse, but instead was just simply going to give a small pullback and then continue to fall lower. So what I did was I trailed my stop loss above the M1 highs. So as price was falling on lower, I would move my stop loss above this M1 high, this one, and then this one. And I think finally I ended up putting it above this M1 high. And then once price ended up pushing on higher, this is where it stopped me out. And this is where I got my 1 to 4 RR. My entry might have been slightly lower because it really was just about a 1 to 4. But nonetheless, you can see how that kind of played out. And the good thing is that price ended up reversing a short time later. It did push down a tad bit more, but ultimately it ended up reversing here. So at the end of the day, I didn't miss out on too much. It would have been great if I could have held on to this a whole lot more. But based off my rules, it made perfect sense for me to get out here because once price took out this sell side liquidity or the previous day low, it made logical sense that most likely on the lower time frame, this was going to be a potential BOS, meaning this was the M1 high down to the M1 low. It made logical sense that price would most likely do something like this. And if so, I would not want to continue to be in that trade. Even if I was in that trade, I would still have been bearish because price was in bearish structure. But at the same time, I would not have been willing to hold this trade all the way through, basically see all my profits diminish, and then run the chance that price ends up hitting my break even, or at the worst case scenario, hits my stop loss all the way up here, and then I lose out on all my profits. So hopefully that makes sense on why I entered there and how I managed it. You guys don't have to do it exactly like me, but that's what I like to do. I try to trail it as much as possible in case I do get that big runner. I know I am breaking this down on GU Forex, but I am taking the trade on the futures market. It is going to be very, very similar. If you notice here on the 5 minute time frame, we still had that 5 minute BOS here. We can still see on the 1 minute price gave us a 1 minute BOS as well in the same area using swing high to swing low. Price comes up into premium, makes a new low. Repeat the same process using swing high to swing low. Price comes up to premium and then pushes on lower. And this is where I got that entry from. So once again, I did use GU Forex to help with my analysis because the candlesticks did print a tad bit better, but you definitely did not need it in case you did not want to use it or in some weird scenario you didn't have it. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. It was pretty straightforward in the terms of entry. I will admit the POI was a bit trickier, especially with the daily opening that I did use. That is something new that I'm trying to implement in my trading. And this is an example of how it did help with my trading, of course, or my bias as a whole. Once again, hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop them down below. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.